You've tuned into Bellingham Podcast Media Tech for the week of June 18th, 2017, episode 41. From the northwest of the Northwest, I am Chris Powell.
And from the city of subdued excitement, I'm AJ Barce. On this episode, instead of getting that world's greatest dad mug, shirt, tie that he may or may not wear, we have some top cool dad swag that can either dapper your dad or make him more techie. All that and more on this episode of BPM Tech.
How's that for flipping things up?
Hey, it helps us grow.
Full disclosure, that was a little uncomfortable for me. I am so used to waiting for you to plow through the intro and then toss it over to me, and then I give my little snarky hooks. And I was like, oh, I'm starting this out now. So, yes, happy prime numbered episode, AJ.
Well, thank you, Chris, and happy early soon-to-be Father's Day.
Yes, right back at you. We are, ladies and gentlemen, we are two fathers on the prowl for a podcast of mega proportions. And so this one is dedicated to all the dads out there. A month ago or so, we gave props to all the moms that sacrifice and tirelessly do everything to make their family a success. Well, this one's for the boys.
Yes.
Our boys.
So, or should we say the fraternity of paternity?
The fraternity of paternity. Wow. Can you hear the groan among the podcast throng? Anyway.
I thought I don't have the hooks like you got.
It's
a
hook.
Pretty good.
It's a hook. And yes, we'll get you the hook if you keep that up. Anyway, let's get this thing started. We got ideas that you may not normally consider or else won't be seeing in those Sunday sales flyers in the newspaper.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please don't just run down to a store that rhymes with Fred Schmeier.
Or Fargate.
Or Fargate. And, on clearance the morning of and get a mug and think that it's good. Like, I don't know, like as a dad and just as a guy in general, that type of stuff, I'll get it, I'll smile, I'll say thank you, and then I'll use it that one day, whatever it is, a mug. Okay, I'll put 1 cup of coffee in it. I'll rinse it out and put it into the Goodwill box. Like, that's the unfortunate part, right?
So you're saying world's best podcast partner mug is not something that you're using on a regular basis?
If you find a mug that says that, Chris, okay, that might be an exception.
All right. Oh, by the way, we're still recovering from colds, folks. It's been a while. So if you hear some coughing or wheezing or hacking in the mix, that's us.
I try to edit most of those out, but sometimes it sneaks in.
That's all right. All right. So, AJ, normally you throw it over to me and where I go first, but we're flipping this prime number episode around number 41. Cannot be divisible by anything except for the number and 1.
It's very primo.
What are some ideas to get the male leader in the family for a gift?
Okay, so my selections are all things that I have not talked about on the show, and or things that if my partner got for me, I would be so down for. Okay?
So this is like the hint list.
Just saying. So the first thing is I would be not doing my TikTok due diligence to the watch fam if I did not have at least a watch pick for a dad. And
as to be expected.
Well, and here's the thing is this is a common question I get. Like most people who either know me or look at my wrist, if they're looking for a mechanical watch, I'm usually the go-to. It's like being the tech in a family, right? All email problems go to Chris Powell,
that's right. Yes.
From that aunt that you only talk to twice a year. Mm-hmm. So same thing with watches, right? And so there is a watch that I usually recommend for anybody who is looking to get their significant other into mechanical watches. Now, I usually recommend the SKX 007, but it is, one, it's $200, and two, it's also very sporty, dive watchy, and sometimes you're not that type of person. So it is another Seiko that I usually recommend, and it's called the SNK 809. Well, 809 or the 807, 805, 803. There's 4 different variants of it. The number basically just dictates what color the dial and watch strap are.
You mean there's other colors other than black?
Black is a shade.
All right.
So there's a shade in 3 colors for you. This is it's a Seiko 5 series. Again, SNK 809, 7, 5, and 3. Comes in black, green, blue, and khaki. And it uses the same movement as our 007s, the 7S26 movement. Has a clear back on the back. It's called what's called an exhibition back. So when you present this watch to that significant other of yours and they flip it over, they actually can see the rotor of the movement. It's really cool. It's a field watch, so it has it's a field watch, or also what's commonly referred to as a Miranmar dial, where it has both the hour and minutes. Looks like a aviation gauge type of a thing, but it's not overly aggressively in your face like pilot's watch. It is a whopping $54 to $59.
That is very reasonable.
Yeah, that's why I'm building this up. It's also a 38 millimeter without the crown case, so it's a little bit smaller than our 007s. Our 007s come in at like 41 and a half. So if you have a smaller wrist father, this is definitely something to look at. And also for $54 or $59, depending on what color you get, it's a solid pick.
You know, it's funny, as you're talking about aviator and field watches and some of these techs, we should really have a show to talk about kind of the inner the details of watches and things, maybe outside of what we're doing with BPM Tech. But yes, you bring up a lot of interesting concepts that I'm not quite familiar with, and so that might be good to explore maybe sometime in the future about learning a little bit more about watches and stuff.
We'll see.
Yeah. So anyway,
what about you, Chris?
Well, I'll go for. Well, that was one. So you've got a couple more.
Well, I have one. Well, I have another one. So like that's I had two picks for price points. Is what that was.
Okay.
So for the $54 to $59, you know, if you're a 13-year-old and you're saving up all your pennies, you know, that would be a cool dad watch thing. If you had a little bit more shekels in the $199 to $249 range, there's another Seiko I usually recommend, the SRP 715 or 713. It comes in black or beige.
Yes, I'm a fan.
Black or beige, or what I commonly refer to as khaki. This is a bigger case size, so it's actually bigger than our SKX 007. This is a 43.5 millimeter case. It's also got twice the water resistance as the SNK that I just mentioned. SNK has about 30 meters of water resistance. This one has 100 meters of water resistance. It has a different movement called the 4R36. It's just a different style of movement. The functions are pretty much the same for all intents and purposes, but you are going to shell out, like I said, about $200. But it is a bigger case size. So if you have a dad in your life or a partner in your life that has a bigger wrist size, this is something that is smaller than a diesel watch.
The sundial.
Yeah. A little bit bigger than an SKX, but also this is a watch that's in that same vein as a field watch. It's not overly sporty. It has a day, date, and obviously time function. Both of these watches do. Like I said, it's just these are both watches that you can throw on your wrist and doesn't scream, "I climb mountains" or "I swim the depths of the ocean." Like they're just nice. You know, Pacific Northwest knockaround watches.
It's funny you should mention that. I dive oceans is my text tone on my phone.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. So anyway.
Okay, Chris, what about you?
All right. So, yes, it's good to get your dad some unique items that, you know, kind of you put some thought into. Now, we know about the cliched mugs and ties and things. That's a stereotype, kind of like flowers are for moms, for Mother's Day. Got a couple things, and I've mentioned them in previous episodes, but I got three things. And I kind of like getting gifts to upgrade someone's current arsenal of usage. First thing is these little small notebooks called field notes. And field notes are there's a wonderful cult following with these little tiny notebooks. They're about the size of your hand, 3.5 inch by about 4.5 inch.
About the size of passport.
Yeah, 48 pages, great quality paper, great to write stuff down. And of course, there's our favorite online store of choice, or our favorite online marketplace
that rhymes with Amishmon.
Yeah, Amishmon or Glamazon.
Amazon.
That has usually a 3-pack of these little notebooks for about $15. Fairly inexpensive. However, hack this, y'all. Take one of those pages and write some of the things that you enjoy or appreciate about your dad.
Aww.
So that way, when your dad is, or your father is flipping through the pages as he's writing important notes down, he can see, I really appreciate how you do this. You are really cool, blah, blah, blah. Field notes, choice of colors, choice of styles. Take a look at them that matches your dad's personality. Number 2, you have the notebooks, but why are you still using those chewed up Bic pens that come a pack of 10 for $1.29?
Because my dog eats them.
Yes, we all have these ballpoint pens that are running around the house that are really cheap. Upgrade your dad's pen. Both AJ and I have dabbled in the world of fountain rollerball, ballpoint. I'm starting to get a little bit in there. Might have to do some discussions in the future about pens and other things like that. But one place to start that's fairly inexpensive is one that I have purchased. There are a couple different kinds, but it's a Fisher Space Pen.
Oh, yeah.
And Fisher Space Pen, no, it's not Fisher Price. This one's a big boy pen. It comes in many different sizes and colors in some cases. However, the cool part about the Fisher Space Pen, they bring this up in the space shuttle. This can write in space, hence the name Space Pen. It can write in any angle, so if you're actually on a wall and you want to write something down, it'll write vertically.
Yeah.
It also can write in extreme temperatures. So if you're camping out in sub-zero temps in the wintertime, this pen got you covered. There are two types of Fisher Space Pens I want to draw your attention to, and I have a link in our show notes about a one-click access to it on Glamazon online marketplace. The first one's a bullet pen, and it's it's about half the size of a regular pen, but it has a cap, et cetera, et cetera. It looks really cool. It's very easy to carry around, and I'm kind of going along the lines of your everyday carry for your paterfamilias. So bullet pen is about $20. Matte black because there is no other color, and it really is portable and can go wherever. Throw it in your pocket, throw it in your shirt pocket or wherever. They have little pen clips available to be able to make it like a pocket protector style. That's one. And the other type of Fisher Space Pen is a regular, which is kind of like the click, 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 click. It's almost a standard size pen. It's called a military cap-o-matic when you do a search online. It does come in many colors other than black. So therefore, if you're...
Wait, there's other colors other than black?
No, but they decided that they want to anyway. So this one's $15. So you got your Field Notes notebook for about $15 for a 3-pack. You got your Fisher Space Pen, the regular size, for $15. You're in pretty good shape. Plus, your dad's getting some really nice swag, as you mentioned earlier in the intro, which I like. So if you want to really show him how much you appreciate him and get him something nice, how about we try this, folks? Why don't we take that JanSport or Converse backpack that has been around since your dad's fraternity days in college at Tapakega Day, and why don't we toss that and upgrade his everyday carry equipment? Now, one that I had in mind for your submitted for your approval is a really nice big boy professional messenger bag. And this one's made also. AJ has mentioned this in a previous episode, probably in the first 10 episodes if you do some digging. On Amazon, there is Komalc, Komalc Passion Leather, which is a great online handmade leather maker. He's the goods, but in this case, this one happened to catch my eye. If you do a search for a leather messenger bag on Amazon, you'll see 250,000 available.
Yeah.
But one of the top ones that rose to the top, and we always like ones that get a lot of reviews, about 300 or so plus people give them 5 stars. This is a Buffalo Hunter leather messenger bag.
That one's cool.
It caught my eye, and if I didn't have 562 bags already in my collection, I might seriously want to throw down on this one. It's about $80 when all is said and done. 15-inch Buffalo Hunter leather messenger bag. It's definitely an upgrade that your dad would be, once he opens it and smells it, be like, whoa, my family really loves me. So a couple ideas on your favorite online marketplace to upgrade your father's everyday carry kit.
Awesome.
So as we're talking about tech ideas and analog ideas for your dad, you're listening to KMRE 102.3 FM, low power community radio located here in 98225, 6, 7, and 9 in Bellingham, Washington.
So how about that lumberjack dad in your life?
Oh, the burly grunt guy.
Yes, the lumberjack. So even lumberjacks have smartphones.
Yes.
And most of the time, if they're super uber lumberjacks, you're going to have a life-proof case. I mean, that because they're usually klutzy or they're out doing stuff that mortals should not be doing. And nor should their technology. However, for those classier times, because, you and I have talked about this. You want to have the right case to protect your investment. And life-proof cases, they pretty much protect against anything. Drops, spills, toddlers teething, depths of the ocean, maybe not depths, but you get what I'm saying. Sometimes you need to have a better looking case that also protects less than that of a LifeProof. There is a company on Glamazon that I have a different manufacturer of it, but it's called Belk, Belk, and they make a TPU rubber, which is that softer, really durable, very bouncy if you drop something rubber case with a wood veneered back.
Wood veneer.
Yeah, so it's actually a real piece of wood that they laminate and wrap around the back of the case. So when you look at your iPhone, it's all nice and roundy with the same design that, you know, the iPhones have got. But you see basically a black bumper on the top and the bottom, but wood for your entire back of your phone.
We're getting earthy in how we approach our technology now.
Yes, it's very much in tune with Mother Nature. So, these things are $13, and they are made by Belk. They're made by all contemporary iPhones. So iPhone 5S, the SE, the 6, the 6 Plus, and the new 7. The company that I have mine, I have one for my SE. It's basically the same price. It's basically the same case. But they, at the time when I bought this, it was only available for the SE. So Belk came in and actually made them for the rest of them. $13, nice little glamorification for your lumberjack tech.
I checked this out also because I was seeing your show notes on here, and I was very intrigued because for my big beast of a phone, they have a case available for that.
Yeah.
And there's many different wood colors.
Yes. So they've got like an oaky looking one, they've got an ashy looking one, they got a cherry looking one. I don't remember which one I've got. It's kind of the gray brown.
It looks like a dark
walnutty
style.
Yeah.
So take this one step further. Extra credit for y'all. If you're thinking about getting a case like this for your special guy in your life, take a look at the nightstand or some of the furniture that is in the bedroom.
Oh, yeah, match it.
Match it. If you can, and if you happen to see a desk that he's working at that happens to have a certain shade of color, compare the colors available. You're going to get a really like stratospheric, awesome gift.
Yeah,
for not a lot of cheddar.
Totes. And like I said, $13. It's a nice thing. And I've dropped my phone. Already, big shock. I know, Chris. I've dropped my phone a few times in this case, and not from the same height of my last iPhone 5S, but it's done a great job, and it bounces and doesn't break. So.
Excellent. So we talked about the professional dad, the daily worker, transport. We're going to get rid of that backpack from 1982, and we're going to be upgrading with that. We got the burly dad.
Yeah.
The
lumberjack.
The rough and tumble guy. How about the dad that really enjoys games, or like the gamer dad? I know that you've got this locked in.
Yeah.
What do you got for the gamer dad?
So the gamer dad, because I wanted to have a segment for all dads, right? So like you just said, and gamer dads, like especially my generation, that's my bread and butter. That's where I am. And
hence me not talking right now.
So here's the thing. If your dad comes from the Nintendo Entertainment System generation, the NES, and grew up with that, with the sweet songs of the original Link to the Past on Super Nintendo.
Dun, 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 dun. Done.
Okay, well that would be Mario.
All right, sorry. Well, anyway,
and loved Yoshi back in the day. Maybe hit some button mashing on some Street Fighter, and then threw down on Tekken in his later life on PlayStation. Then I have a gift for you to consider. It's made by a company called Hyperkin. And if that name sounds familiar, you may have seen this company at your local game shop because they do peripherals, especially for vintage consoles. They have a console called the Retron 5. Now, you've probably seen the Retron before. They make the Retron 3, which is basically what this console is, the Retron 3 to 5. It is a emulator that you're able to plug in your old cartridges to and plug into a contemporary TV, one of those ones with HDMI, because this is the thing about old school gamers like myself. I have all my old consoles. They take component and composite video. Our contemporary TVs don't have analog in anymore. So I have these consoles and my carts that I can't really play anymore. Well, Retron's got your back, because if you get one of the Retron 5, which is their latest one, it came about 2 years ago, which I was super stoked for. This thing is the goods. I've messed with one. I've been hinting to my wife that I would like one. This thing has, get this, original Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Super Famicom, which is out of Japan, Genesis, Mega Drive, which was the other version of Sega, normal Famicom, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advanced. And you can play Master System stuff with this new cartridge that they came out. They call it the Power Base Converter. This thing, if your dad has old carts stashed away in the closet that he's been wanting to play, take a look at this. By the way, this thing is also updatable because it's running a very special version of Android.
I haven't said a lot during this part. The only thing I will say about this cool product is, ladies and gentlemen, we live in the future. This is probably going to do everything that your gamer dad wants, plus make him breakfast in the morning.
Pretty much. It's really cool. When it first came out, there was a lot of fanfare. Then the reviewers got their hands on it, and there was some bugs at the original time. Not all games were supported and stuff. But again, it runs on a special flavor of Android, so they pushed some updates, and it's from what I've been told, it's actually gotten a lot better. The other cool thing about this is even because this is again taking old school graphics and upscaling it to HDMI, so like you actually have the ability to make it like tack sharp, or they have a special filter that will make it like vintage filter on your high definition television. It's kind of funny. But also what's cool about this I wanted to throw out, you can save game in state. So basically as you're playing, like if you were like me and you played hours and hours and hours and hours of Sonic and you couldn't beat one certain level, and if you turned off your Sega Genesis and you started it, you had to start at the beginning of the level. With this, you're able to make save states.
I think my 15-year-old, would be cringing her eyes right now for this statement, but there's this term that the kids are saying nowadays. Yes! Y-A-S-S-S-S-S.
Yes!
You're really painting like a must-buy picture here for this Hyperkin.
Yeah, the Retron 5.
Retron 5.
Yeah,
yes.
it's cool. And it also has wireless controllers, too. It comes with one. You can get a second one for about $33, and it comes in black.
Good. So, AJ, the big question with the Hyperkin Retron 5 is, how much is it?
So it comes in either gray or black, and that should be Chris Powell approved right there.
Absolutely. There are, I can deal with gray, but the black, that speaks to me.
Yes. So basically, depending on where you get it, like I said, you could fit this on Amazon, or if you're here in Bellingham, you can go up to one of my favorite gaming stores off of Sunset, Reset Games.
Oh, yeah, in like Barclay Crossroads.
Yep. Love those guys. And if you're listening, hello. So anyway, they also carry them as well, and they run anywhere from about $130 to $150, depending on the color and where you get it.
Very good. Sounds like we got a good arsenal. You have no excuse now to get your dad some nice gifts for the Father's Day celebration.
Yeah, good dad swag.
That's right.
Hashtag good dad swag. So, Chris, before we wrap up the show, there's this little segment that always reoccurs that we do every so often called Tech That Catches Our Eye.
Indeed.
We need a jingle for that.
Well, I'll come up with something
okay,
like that.
Come up with it. Give me a jingle. I need a jingle. Stat.
Tech that caught our eye. How's that off the top of my head?
That was legendary.
All right.
Okay, so this is actually, it was a tweet in. The Rising Sun sailor, Danny.
Hi, Danny.
What's up, Danny? He tweeted at us because we, for the last couple episodes, we've been mentioning the ILI, the ILI translator. And he came across from Apple Magazine. There was another one that was just announced on the 14th by a different company. This translator was announced at the United Nations AI for Good Summit in Geneva. And this is kind of interesting because it does 8 languages: French, Chinese, English. I can't remember all 8 off the top of my head. There's also a companion app that you can put on your iOS and Android phone. But this, instead of it being a translator device that you hold in your hand and you speak and kind of put up a speaker to the other person, this is actually an earpiece. And it's also running IBM's Watson, so that big Horkin computer that can like
take over the world in about 3 years.
Skynet.
Yeah.
It's using a piece of its technology in doing this translation.
Very interesting.
It's an Australian startup called Lingmo, Lingmo International.
Good day, Lingmo.
Good day, Lingmo. What's interesting is that it's going to be available for purchase in July for $179, and you can get a 2-pack for a reduced price. I have a couple, just like the ILI. This sounds cool. I had a couple of eyebrow raises because they said that it can take up to 3 to 5 seconds to translate what it's hearing. They did say that it doesn't require a Wi-Fi or cellular. But the whole earpiece thing, I can't really find a lot of like demo videos of this. Like the Illy, they had a whole bunch of promo videos and stuff, which is really cool. This one, I really can't. And why the 2-pack? I'm like, does the other person have to have this translator hooked up as well? Like, is it one of those things where you have to have 2 of them and they co-op, or what?
Perhaps if I'm in a foreign country and I don't speak the language, and my wife and I happen to be attending a guided tour of something, now that you can hear what's going on, now we can be like, in the United Nations, how they have all the
live translation.
The live translation. That I can see how that might be a case. Or if you're listening to some kind of speech, that could be very helpful.
Yeah. And so anyway, this is a much different application. It's kind of how I saw it, where the other one is you have this pocket translator that you can kind of bust out and get your way around. This one's more of like the live tuning in, and you need to have something streamed straight to your brain with a translation. Again, we'll keep it on our radar and see where it goes, kind of like Illy, and see where it goes. The other thing that I found really interesting about Illy is they sold out.
Yep.
I got because I subscribed to their little newsletter just to see how they went, and they went out like gangbusters.
Well, the internet is worldwide, and so there's a lot of people traveling around the world.
Yeah,
this is a good product.
Yeah, so we'll see where this one goes, and we'll see if this is a trend.
So as we're wrapping up the big show, AJ, you still are a Patreon creator at patreon.com/AJ Barce. What is coming up on the horizon for your Skookum or Evergreen patrons, or those that might be looky-loos wanted to check out your professional work?
Yeah, so actually Patreon had a big announcement 2 days ago. They updated the platform, and they have a whole new branding and logo, which is kind of cool. Or as a creator for myself, I'm just like, where did they move everything?
Yes.
But no, same old Patreon, same good stuff for artists. Right now I'm working on a whole bunch of photos that I took from Japan, and I'm using a new piece of software that basically makes a still photograph into a motion graphic.
Nice.
And so, especially with a lot of the scenes that I've shot, it takes like water scenes, and it also takes sky scenes like with clouds, and starts moving, kind of like if you ever go to a Chinese restaurant and you see the electric photographs of like the stream, and like it's got the light behind it kind of makes it trickle and stuff. Think of like that, but for photographs on your desktop.
A modern interpretation of that cool ocular illusion.
Ocular illusion.
That's right.
So yeah, I'm working on some ocular illusions on my on my Patreon.
Excellent.
How about you, Chris?
With all this cold stuff that we had the past couple weeks, I have my Quiet Conversations newsletter,
which has been on hiatus.
Well, I took a break.
Okay.
Because last week's Quiet Conversation was really quiet because I didn't send one. And also I reached a little bit of a milestone, or I reached the halfway point in my 100 tech tips. And I'm at number 50, and I'm like, you know what? On the 7th day, God rested when he created whatever.
So on the 50th tech tip,
I took a week off. And so I'm getting inertia, ramping the pin siren back up of how I'm sharing content. Got 50 more tech tips to go. If you're interested, check out 100techtips.com. And if you wanted to check out life insights in a quiet, non-hammer on your head manner, bit.ly/quiet Chris. That's how you can sign up for my newsletter. Love to have you join the conversation.
Word.
So that wraps it up for this edition of Bellingham Podcast Media Tech. Thank you so much for listening in, tuning in, and subscribing to us on potentially the iTunes store, the Android Google Play Store. See, I don't have the shtick that you have. If you are listening to us on the Google Play Store, thank you very much. If you are one of the scores of people subscribing to us and following us on SoundCloud, thank you. And keep continuing to do so, and tell your friends or tell your network that there are 2 guys in Bellingham.
You might even want to tell your dad about this on Father's Day, that there's this cool podcast.
Exactly. And if some of the things that we talk about resonate with him, you might get some good ideas. But anyway, if you're on SoundCloud, thanks very much for following us. If you're on Spreaker, Spreaker, thanks very much for subscribing or tuning in to us. We do this about every week or so, and we're marching towards the century mark. It'll be next year, but we're on the path. We're not giving up. We still got lots to talk about. So, and also if you're in Bellingham, thanks again for listening to us on 102.3 FM KMRE, Low Power Community Radio. That's right. Right here in the city of subdued excitement. we're done with this. Let's just go fork in this podcast. From the Northwest and the Northwest, I am Chris Powell.
And from the city of So Dude Excitement, I'm AJ Barce, and we will see you next week.